Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have one addition, 6B2. Our insurance agent, Mark Mahoney, is going to speak after Kathy gets done with the ambulance department. Do I have any other changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that addition?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Joe, second by Shallen. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the October 5th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. I'll receive them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed regarding those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 5th, 2022?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Diane, second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings tonight. We'll move on to reports and presentations. Police Department, Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Activity report for September 2022. Some of the numbers we had, we did 32 door checks. We had 220 traffic stops. We did 64 foot patrols. We had 51 patrols at the school. We only had 4 accidents for the month. We had 21 medicals. We did 14 welfare checks. We had 13 suspicious activity calls, 6 juvenile problem calls, 8 motorist assists. We had 32 assists for other agencies, 11 assists for businesses, 7 suspicious vehicle calls, and 7 suspicious person calls, 13 citizen contacts. We found 8 open doors for businesses. We had 28 matter of information calls, 13 driving without a license ticket, for a total number of calls of 767. And then you compare that to 2021, we were down 17 calls. And compared to August, we were up 13. So pretty comparable. That's about all I have.
Chief, if they have no license, then they have no insurance, is that correct?
Well, most of the time that's the case, yes.
Yeah, because I know they won't insure an unlicensed driver.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Good job.
Any other questions? Thank you, Brian. Ambulance Department quarterly report.
Oh, jeez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Third quarter for the ambulance, we stayed pretty active. For July, we had 39 no loads, 5 advanced life support transports, and 20 basic life support transports. 35 medical calls for a total of 97 activities. That compares to 99 for last year and 47 10 years ago. Of the total 97 calls, 58 were billed out for a total of $63,311. For August, we resulted in 26 no loads, 4 ALS transfers, and 22 BLS transfers, 36 medical calls, for a total of 88 runs or activities. That compares to 71 from last year and 47 from 10 years ago in the same month. And of those 88 runs or activities for August, 62 were billed out for a total of 68,873. September were 22 no loads, 6 ALS transfers, and 21 BLS transfers. Total of 81 runs or activities. That's compared to 86 from last year and 60 from 10 years ago. And of those 81 runs for September, the number billed out were 59 for 74,957. So total for third quarter for 2022 billed out was 207,000, just over that. Special events and details for third quarter, we had the West Union Parade and a parade at Fairway Pines, because Sinclair Lewis Days was canceled. So Fairway Pines asked people to come up and do a little parade around their facility, so that was kind of fun. We had a youth safety camp and a safety in the park, which are new public relation events started by the Stearns County Sheriff's Office, so we participated in those. We had a Make-A-Wish Foundation, where we assisted with the ambulance and going out to provide the wish to the participant. We had night tonight and 3 football game standbys. For mutual aids, for the third quarter, we assisted North Ambulance on 5 mutual aid requests. 2 of those patients were taken to Alomere and Alexandria, 1 brought back to Sauk Center Hospital, and 2 no loads. And then we did 3 assists for Melrose Ambulance. 1 was taken to St. Cloud Hospital, 1 to the Melrose Hospital, and 1 no transport. We did 6 hospital assists, 4 where we took patients back to their residence, 1 to an assisted living facility, and 1 was a return trip after we took them to St. Cloud for a procedure, and then we bring them back to St. Cloud or Sauk Center to be admitted back here again. In our Stearns County Fair statistics, we start a fair booth standby for public relations every day for the Stearns County Fair. And so that was 5 of our contacts. Demolition derbies, we do 3 demolition derby nights. So one of those activities for each night of the demo derbies. And during the demo derbies, we had 2 patient contacts with no transports. And the fair booth patient contacts, we had 9 non-transported contacts and 1 patient that we didn't end up transporting in from the fair. So the non-transported patients were anything from like dehydration, minor cuts and falls. And this year we had 2 4-H'ers. 1 was knocked over by a horse and 1 was knocked over by their cow they were showing, so kind of interesting. So that was our third quarter. Any questions for me?
Questions, comments?
All right.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
6B2, we will hear from Mark.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Here to give the annual report for the insurance. Start off with the good news. It's always nice to have good news. The league did miss out on most of the storms this last summer, and it looks like they are going to distribute about $10 million in dividends, about 2/3 of what they did last year. If you look at the same numbers, it should be about $16,000 to $17,000 return dividends in December. So get into the rates for the upcoming renewal year. It looks like it's going, due to the supply chain issues and the cost of construction, they're going to do an inflationary increase on all the buildings. Last year they did 7%. This coming year they're going to increase all the structures by 11.5%. This will cause about a 5% property rate increase. Same issue with automobiles. The physical damage portion of the auto policies are going to have about a 5% rate increase. Auto liability will be 5%. Municipal liability will be 5%. And excess liability, the umbrella, $1 million umbrella, would be a 15% increase. and there's no change on the cyber. So it looks overall for the cities around the state between a 3 and 8% increase for the next year. And it looks like it'll be about 5% for Sauk Center, right in the middle. All right. Next item, just wanted to come up. Every year we have to discuss whether the city wants to waive the tort limits on the liability limits. And if the statute of limits for the state, or for cities tort liability is a maximum of $5,000 per claimant or $2 million per occurrence against the individual officers or employees or against both. So just a couple examples. So again, the occurrence limit, if we do not waive, is 500,000 per single claimant and 1.5 million per occurrence. If we waive, it will be 2 million and 2 million. And the city also has an excess policy of an additional million. If we don't waive and we have the excess liability, it would be 500,000 per occurrence, 1.5 million per occurrence. 500,000 per person, 1.5 million occurrence, and the maximum that would be paid out would be on the city's behalf is 3 million. If they take the excess coverage, which they have in the past, and waive the liability limits, it would be 3 million per single claimant, 3 million per occurrence, and 3 million total. Questions? Whether you want to waive or not?
We usually have a sheet in front of us, so
Yeah.
we're taking your word for it this time. Anyone have any questions? You understand, it's pretty much a yearly thing,
Yep.
Yes.
so. And in the past, we've always waived it and took the excess, is that?
Always waived and taken the excess.
Okay, yeah. So,
Usually the smaller cities are more, they just can't handle, taxing enough to
Right.
recover, so they normally have taken the excess.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Public Works Department, Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Over the past month, we did repair a few potholes that have shown up in the streets. The plow trucks got their annual DOT. All of them passed, with one truck requiring some minor work to be completed, going through the rest of the snow equipment to get that all ready to go as the season changes. We did pick up a load of cold asphalt mix that's in storage for the winter, and all of our salt and sand has been delivered and put in the shed for the winter. So I guess we're ready for whenever that shows up. Parks, we winterized all the bathrooms and sprinkler systems. Splash pad was blown out and everything was filled with antifreeze, so that should be set for the winter. Sprinkler line work is taking place along Hickman Drive in the park, where that new trail is going along the edge of the curb there. So a bunch of stuff got ripped out and we're just putting in sleeves and getting that all going again once the trail is completed. Installed components for the RV dump station on Park Road, pulled all the docks. At the airport, we put a new concrete apron and sidewalk in front of the new AD building addition. So the concrete is poured for that AD building addition, but they're waiting for materials, trusses, windows, stuff like that to get that addition going. We made an asphalt repair to we didn't, Aztec did, to the parking area in front of the FBO hangar that was damaged when the paint was removed by the contractor earlier this year. That was that Compass Rose, so that it looks actually pretty good, so hopefully that holds up over the winter and looks good next year. Arena, the ice went in this week, and next week is when practices start up there. And the used Olympia that we decided to purchase a little over a year ago did show up, and that really turned out nice, and they did a good job on the refurbishment of that, so looking forward to utilizing that machine. That should be a good thing for us. So we'll bring the Olympia that's up there down to the outdoor rink, and then we'll sell that tenant. That's kind of our plan. We'll probably just put that on an auction. But we're kind of just going to wait until the ice is going next week, make sure everything's good with the new one, and we don't have any issues, and then we can make all those swaps and get rid of that old one. So that's kind of what we've been up to the last month. Any questions I can answer?
Good job on cleaning the streets too. I noticed that got the
Yeah.
street sweepers out there. Good job.
Street sweeper's going, and it'll continue to go until
With
the
all the
weather
leaves
freezes us
falling,
out.
yeah.
We have all the leaves picked
Yeah,
up, but
gotta
leaves
keep
just
that out of
started
the
going
sewer.
down in the
Yeah.
last week.
Right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plan Commission report, Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of the agenda. We had our planning commission meeting on October 11th, and we had one action item, and it is in regards to an interim use permit. We did discuss some permit fees that we may increase. And also on our building permits, for the month of September, we issued 27 permits for a construction value of $496,000. A year ago, we issued 42 permits for a construction value of $832,000. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions? Comments? Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
City engineer report. Chuck?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and Council. Short update on the two projects, the 2022 capital improvements project. They're out there right now finishing up some concrete work. That should be the last of the concrete work this season. We will see paving crews end of this week to pave the trail and the RV dump site and some various residential driveways. Next week, the plan is to finish some topsoil and seeding on the remaining areas. And then remaining punch list items, some cleanup stuff, various items for that. That substantial completion date for that project is November 1st. That includes for phase 1 and 2 completion. Industrial Park, they're doing various punch list items out there this week. Currently working on the lift station installation. I should see CenterPoint crews out there installing gas main in the future, near future, a couple weeks, I think they said. Paving is tentatively scheduled for end of next week out there for the base course pavement. And City Electrical PUC is currently installing electric out there on site. And that substantial completion date is October 28th. That's all I have for those two.
Okay, you'd stated they were planning on putting asphalt down next week?
On Industrial Park,
Yeah.
so we just heard today that that got scheduled. Mark Lee, contractor, is scheduled in second half of next week.
Okay.
Put the base course down.
Because I don't know if they've looked at the weather, but according to the extended, it's not supposed to be above 36 degrees in the last half of next week, so.
It's pretty cold.
Yeah, that's pretty cold, and if they can't put a second lift on what we've got here on our other phases, I don't know how they're gonna do that.
So generally, what we allow are like, obviously no paving on frozen material, any frozen class 5, but we do allow paving of base course in lower temperatures, non-freezing. Wear course paving, the final lift, it's thinner, we like to see warmer temps. There we have a 50-degree requirement for that. So we're pretty much past any wear course paving on streets this year, but base course, we do allow for less than 50 and above freezing.
Okay. My concern is we've got a building going up out there already, and if all of a sudden they gotta drive on class 5 and then any soft spots or
Yep.
anything like that to get back there because they didn't meet the
Yep.
timeline,
Yep.
I don't wanna have to go through that hoops
Nope.
and hurdles for.
We want to get it paved, so
Okay,
that's the goal, so,
okay.
thanks.
Any other question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Action items, Were we supposed to add? Were we supposed?
Before you move into 7A, we talked, when Mark was talking about the insurance, you were kind of nodding your head, but we didn't really have like a affirmative general consent or motion that we were going to waive the
Right.
limit and purchase the excess liability. So I think we want to get that on the record, if that is your intent to do that.
It is, if someone must make a motion.
Make the
or-
motion.
Okay, Diane's made a motion that we waive and buy the excess.
You waive the tort limits and purchase the excess liability
Right.
insurance. Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes. 7A, approve resolution 2022-83, approving the interim use permit.
This is for Eagles Healing Nest interim use permit. On October 11th, the Planning Commission continued a public hearing to consider the request of Eagles Healing Nest to allow an after-the-fact permit to allow a residential camping area. After the first meeting on the subject on September 13th, staff was directed to meet with representatives of Eagles Healing Nest in an effort to relocate the camping area to another location on the property that would be further from the neighboring residential properties. The existing location is immediately adjacent to residential homes and was the main point of opposition to the proposal. Locations were recommended that had available utility services. However, those areas were dismissed because money had already been invested in putting electricity in the first area. The commission had continued that meeting to October 11th, at which time they voted to recommend the city council the interim permit be issued with conditions. I do have those conditions listed in your packet. They include no more than 2 motor vehicles per site, quiet time from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., no fires except in designated fire receptacles, no drain water or wastewater dumping on the ground, approved firewood to help prevent emerald ash borer if it's not harvested on the property. It shall be developed and utilized in accordance with the plans for Stearns County. It shall allow a maximum of 10 campsites. If it ever is to increase, it requires a new interim use permit. It shall have lease agreement and policies filed with Stearns County Environmental Services. They shall adhere to the Stearns County and Minnesota Department of Health regulations and licensures, which also on number 11 includes that designed, constructed, and monitored waste disposal system. RVs shall remain on wheels and shall not have the wheels removed and then mounted permanently. Any improvements like decks, screens, porches, and sheds have to have a permit. There'll be no filling, excavating, or other encroachments or impacts to any wetlands if they move near those. No development, filling, construction, or other intrusion into the shoreland overlay district associated with the installation. They must notify the county annually that the activity permitted is continuing, and that is every year you have to get a permit from the county for a recreational campground. So that's an ongoing thing. It shall be granted upon the completed and approved license from Stearns County, which I just referred to. And then also an interim use permit, because of its nature, can be set to expire in a variety of ways. And this one is set to expire in any of the following circumstances. One would be the failure to obtain and maintain a license from Stearns County, if there's change in ownership of the property, if there's change in use of the property, or failure to adhere to any of those conditions that are listed. So the first 3, they would be an automatically expire. Number D, the failure to adhere to, we have to give them notice that they're not adhering and they give time to comply, and then if they don't, then it expires. So that last one is a little bit different. And I have in your packet the Eagles Healing Nest property with the red squares. The one toward the north is where it is existing. The other one was one of the recommended alternate sites further away from the residential properties. We do have the resolution 22-83 granting this interim use permit to Eagles Healing Nest, allowing for a 10-unit RV park campground under the above conditions.
Comments? Questions?
So I have been able to speak to a few people, or they've contacted me regarding this because I wasn't on the planning commission to hear exactly what went down or be in the know for all the conversations that happened. But besides the location, personally, I feel that putting the cart before the horse is not the best way to be able to get what you want in this situation. I feel that it's unfortunate that there was money spent in the location that it exists currently. However, nothing that happened there was permitted. So personally, I feel if they would like to continue with this option of having this campground, which, as I understand, wasn't originally meant to be a campground, but per Minnesota Department of Health, anything over 4 campers, I believe, if you have 5 or more, has
Right.
to, I would like to accommodate the wishes of the surrounding neighbors who would be affected by this and suggest the alternate location if this were to go through.
I mean, I have similar concerns, the fact that it is located so close to the residential property. We have a 126 acre property with a lot of areas to locate in and versus the, close proximity to the existing neighbors. We've got an after the fact permit request that, yes, they've invested money in a location and, have dismissed the idea of relocating that. Well, I mean, we're going to allow that. I mean, what are we going to allow everybody in the city to do of I started something, I invested money, and we're going to accept that as a viable explanation to get what you want. I don't agree with that. So I have some concerns with approving it based on those things. Also, I look at condition number 13 regarding the decks need to be permitted and approved and inspected. To my understanding, there's already been some decks, constructed there, so that they're already in violation of the condition. So, I mean, those are my concerns.
Anyone else? Basically, sitting on the planning commission during the public hearing, it was like, it's been stated, it's an after the fact thing, which seems to be getting more and more of a citywide thing where more and more people are just doing things and then expecting us to give them a variance or hold their hand and say, sorry, you didn't understand the rules or something like that. In this case, an establishment like this, with the rules and regulations that they expect their people that live out there to follow, to have administration look the other way when it comes to following rules, to me is kind of hypocritical. Putting in electricity without a permit, yeah, sure, the state inspector probably came in and made sure it was all up to code, but there was no original permit saying, giving them permission to even start this project. Obviously, when it's an after-the-fact request, all of these findings or conditions to me aren't worth the paper they're wrote on, because they're not going to abide by any of them. And who's going to enforce it? If they can't follow the standard rules of getting a permit and making sure everything's in line, why would we expect them to do any of this? And I'd say that about anybody, not just them. It's a great facility, it does great things for vets, but that doesn't put you up and above rules and regulations of government. And so that's my feeling, so.
I have a question, Chief. If we do this, if we permit this, are we opening a can of worms? I mean, are we going to have to do this for everybody then?
I think this is it's a different can of worms than we've ever been faced with, because the only other campground that we have within the city limits is at the Stearns County Fairgrounds, and that is regulated by the fair, or by the county. So we don't really have anything to do with that. I think it's opening a can of worms by permitting after the fact.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
If you look at the map, like Vicki had pointed out, the red square at the top, right behind the residence, that's where they did all their development. The other little red square is something that Sarah looked at, the facilities and the water and stuff that's available in that location, and it puts them 500 feet away from any residential. She went out there, visited, and basically was told that was never gonna happen. So,
Yeah.
to me, that didn't help the situation, and that's maybe a personal opinion, but if you won't look at the other side, I'm real hard to look at the other side myself.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what the council's wishes are. You can approve it or deny it. If we do approve it, she still has to go to the county and get that permission slip from them and follow all the county guidelines too.
Has there ever been an agreement to move to the alternative location? I mean, you said that there was verbal,
There was discussion, but it was
Dissent.
totally shot down. It wasn't even considered, from what I understand from Sarah.
if the second location were to come to the table again, would it need a second public hearing?
This action on this, you need to take by the end of November. And if there's not approved, you need to deny it, because otherwise it's automatically approved under the 60-day law, and then we took an extra 60 days. So we're working within a time frame. If we were to table it and come back to them and say, if you move to this alternate location, we'll approve it, as long as that is done by that end of November date, then we're good. Otherwise, if we let that date come up, we are going to be forced to deny it, and then she'd have to reapply to do the alternate location. So if the location can be changed prior to approval or denial of this, then we can continue on. But if we take action, then it's a new application.
I guess to me, the location is something that I've got a little bit of heartburn as well, being so close to the residential homes there. So, I mean,
In my opinion, if it should actually come back to us an another application. Because every location's gonna be a different
Yeah.
set of
I agree.
things to
Agree too.
look
I
at.
agree, because I feel like if you start from scratch, you're going through the proper process as original, and it's not after the fact, which
Right.
has already happened. So in Shallon's terms, heartburn, it's not burning as bad
Right.
if it's going through the proper channels from the get-go.
Right.
So the suggestion, if it can be looked at, and we can discuss it and get it worked through a time frame, I think it should be considered. But as it stands in the existing location, I don't agree with.
Okay.
I agree with you, Heidi.
So is there more discussion, or does the council have a motion that wants to be made?
I'll make a motion that we deny the interim use permit.
I'll second it.
Got a motion to deny the interim use permit from Joe, and a second by Diane. Is there any other comments? Call the question.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm likely going to vote against this, not that I don't agree with denying it, but I would rather see it tabled to discuss the alternate location a little bit more. So that's my opinion, but.
Well, and I can see your point on that. The only thing is we've already tried to discuss that alternate position, and it's been shot down.
And
I
I,
wouldn't even consider it.
I see your point on, wanting to explore those options, but I think we, by denying and, if they want to explore that alternate location, they come and do it the correct way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By making that application, identifying that and going that way. That's my position on the denial, but.
So, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, 1 against. Interim agreement has been denied. 7B, approve resolution 2022-84, amending the final assessments for 2022 project.
Upon the adoption of the final assessment roll for the 2022 street project that was adopted on October 5th, we had a few amounts remain to be finalized. Those amounts have been finalized and an amended final assessment is presented.
The reduced amount includes an amendment to the front foot calculation for the property in the reclamation area. That was an appeal. And also credit was given to the property on Willow that had work done in 2018 on their sewer and water service. That was the two that were brought up at the meeting. And so now we have resolved those both. And so now this is the final assessment roll, $1,567,893.05. So the one that was the front foot, we negotiated an alternate front footage, and the other one, where they had done work, they were able to bring an invoice in with detail of what actually work had been done in 2018 that we were not aware of. So we did give them credit prorated based on how many feet that they had installed themselves. So both of those issues were taken care of at that time. So we have Resolution 2022-84, amending the final assessment roll for 2022 improvement project.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-84?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shallen,
A second.
second by Diane. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve pay request 5.
This is pay request 5 for Northern Lines. This is for the industrial park project. They have completed to date, as of pay request 5, $2,687,000. The amount of this pay request is $573,876.95.
Okay, questions? This is for the South Industrial Park.
Right.
Okay, my sheet says number 6.
Number 6 is
Right
the
here.
next item.
I think you brought it back the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got two number 6.
Yeah, two number
Move 'em,
sixes.
Okay, flipped one too many, all right,
I have pay request 5 and pay request 6 in the same meeting.
okay.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 5?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Now, approve pay request number 6.
This is for the same project for Northern Lines for the industrial park. This is pay request 6. As of this pay request, the value completed to date was $3,005,324.48. So the amount of this request due is $301,936.91.
Comments, questions? So we have, still the retainage.
We have retainage of $150,000 still sitting in there, plus there's about $500,000 of work yet to be built.
Okay, and that includes the tarring.
Yeah, that'll be coming up next year, most likely. We may have one more yet this year, and then the rest will be next year.
I'm thinking the base coat.
Oh, yeah, the base coat will be yet this year.
That'll be
That'll be
yet
one
this
this
year?
year yet.
Okay,
That is not included in this pay request.
okay. Because basically what I'm looking at, and it's on this and on the next pay request, that we gotta get these contractors to start holding their subcontractors to a little tighter string.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't pay them, they can't pay their subcontractors, and if they want to get paid, they're gonna start showing up, push the limit a little bit on their subcontractors to get these jobs done. And we have every right to do it. So that's just a comment on my part, because there's no reason why we've got 2 subcontractors sitting out there lagging behind to the point where we have to institute $1,500 a day fines because they're not meeting the timelines. Well, subcontractor A couldn't make it, subcontractor B couldn't do this, or he broke down. You're the general, you make sure it happens.
Do we have a right to retainage above and beyond what the fine is past the 26 days?
You know, we have, We have 35 days from the time we receive an invoice to pay it. Now, they're operating within a timeline that we give the general contractor, and we don't typically micromanage within that his subcontractors. I don't know if that's the right word to use or not, because it all falls on the general to get his work done. And I understand where Warren is coming back from, but we still, we got this pay request, this is work that is completed that we're paying for.
Right.
Not future work. So we still have to abide by the 35-day rule. I mean, we can't withhold a check for work they've already done legally from this, as a city. We have to pay within 35 days.
I get your point, Warren. I'm frustrated with it too, and asked that question of what we could do to hold back to
And the only
to
reason
hold
why
them
I came
accountable.
up with this idea is when 10 years ago, when we had that hailstorm go through town, my house needed a new roof, new siding, new deck, everything. Well, the insurance check went to the mortgage company. They came and fixed my roof. The contractor asked me for the check for the roof. Mortgage company refused to release the check to pay the contractor until more than 60% of the damage was fixed. When I told the contractor that, all of a sudden, within a week and a half, my house was complete because that money was withheld.
It's a good incentive.
That's the reason why I'm thinking at this level, we should be able to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Vicky's
Apparently
telling
we
me.
Well,
can't.
we're paying for work that's done,
Yeah.
not work that's to be done, and
Well,
I get that, yeah,
in
that work was done
case,
too.
Work was
Yeah, the
done
work was
too,
done
but they
but-
refused
It
to pay
just,
them.
it just wasn't done to our expectation.
Yeah, because they've come up with more excuses than I can imagine for not getting the job done. So it's something I was throwing out there, I guess legally, if we
Laws don't allow
can't
it.
do it, but I think maybe next contract we come through, we see what we can work into that contract and make it. Generally, you're not getting
Yeah.
paid until
Yeah.
your subcontractors towed the line.
Yep.
So I guess one question, maybe it should have been for Chuck there, but with a substantial completion date of October 28th, what's the potential fine to these guys for not getting
I
the
believe
agreed
it's
upon work?
$1,500 a
There is this
day.
$1,500 a day as well?
Is it $1,500 a day?
Okay, okay,
So-
yeah.
That was my question with the 26 days. I thought they were supposed to have it tarred, and they came on day 25 or day 26 or something like that, but
That's Second
that's
Street,
not
right?
paid to us, is it?
So to clear up the 25-day thing, with the Second Street project, we put an interim completion date for Phase 3, the reclamation portion. We basically gave them a 25 working day requirement to get that Phase 3 done, so that they had leeway. If they wanted to do it in the spring, they could. If they wanted to do it in the fall, they could. They went about 2 or 3 days past that 25-day working period. So that Phase 3 penalties, that's separate from the November 1st completion date for Phase 1 and 2 they have, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah, separate deadlines.
separate deadlines, so.
Because one of the things I had mentioned to Chuck is if they're imposing 1,500, but he explained to me that's only for the base coat. The penalty is because I was going, well, we were told it was gonna be both layers by this fall. And then they get imposed $1,500 a day, basically, we should be getting that second layer free. Because by the time you do $1,500 a day for the whole winter, yeah, it's free by next spring. But Chuck said that's strictly on the base coat.
Yeah, so we just wanted it black, we wanted pavement, so that the word in there is for base course, up to the base course pavement. Go
Okay,
From reclaim to base course pavement is how that's worded, so.
okay. I'm trying.
I know.
The good news is, well, they're gonna pave hopefully on Industrial Park, and at least it's black now for the Phase 3, but they'll ramp, so they raised iron out there in Phase 3, so they have plans to ramp those with bituminous temporarily for the winter. The pedestrian crossings, they'll ramp the castings, they'll ramp the transitions to the existing pavement on Main Street and on North Hickman, so that'll be nice and smooth. Then next year, they'll just mill that off when they pave, is the plan.
Okay,
Thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve pay request number 6.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Joe, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve pay request number 6, Second Street project.
So this is the other pay request number 6. And for Second Street, you guys are kind of jumping back and forth, talking about Industrial Park and talking about Second Street. This pay request is $443,136.15. The work completed as of date under this contract was just over $3 million has been done. So this is pay request number 6 to C&L Excavating for $443,136.15.
Do I have a motion to pay that request?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Shallen, do I have a second?
I can second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against.
I just want to make one comment because Vicky did make that clarification. CNL is the one responsible for Second Street, and it was Northern responsible for Industrial.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
I don't want people to get that confused and have that name in their head
Right.
when we're
But it's the
discussing
Two
same-
separate
that.
But it's the
contractors.
same contract, they're subcontractor for the tar. For both of them,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That's another clarification. Thank you.
yes. Okay, 7F, approve of the appointments of EMTs.
So Ambulance Director Kathy Strufert has requested the appointment actually of 3 EMTs to the department. One is Amy Hall. She's now a licensed EMT. They're recommending she go the probationary EMT at the probationary rate. Brian Zales comes to us as a licensed paramedic. She'd like to make him a probationary EMT, but pay at the B1 rate because he is a paramedic. And then the third one now is Karen Nelson, a probationary EMT at the probationary rate. So we're looking to hire 3 probationary EMTs, Amy Hall, Brian Zales, and Karen Nelson.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve those appointments?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. We will then move on to the consent agenda. We have a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $1,360,848.39. Paid claims of $523.95 for a total of $1,361,372.34. We have September checks, paid claims / payroll of $903,738.23. We have gambling application for exempt permit request from Holy Family School for a raffle on December 14th, 2022 at the Holy Family School. Is there any questions about the consent calendar as presented? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items?
Just a couple informational items. We got a notice from Spectrum or Charter that they will be increasing their rates $4.01 beginning November 1st due to additional fees that they're being charged. The other informational item is the notice of winter parking rules. If you may recall, we did winter parking from December 1st to March 31st. We did post it on Facebook. It's been for 2 months in the PUC bill. It's being published in the paper, and we are sending postcard notices to many areas of the city where it seems to be more prevalent. And the signs are up. So I think we've done a lot of outreach to try to make sure that people are aware that these winter parking rules are going to go into effect. So I don't know if you have any other questions on that. Another thing, the public hearing on the licensing the retail sale of the edible cannabinoids is November 2nd. That's a public hearing at your next meeting. Also, early voting begins here at City Hall on November 1st. You can come in and you can cast a ballot, fill out an absentee application, but you actually get the ballot and put it in the ballot box right then. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the following Monday, and then Tuesday, regular voting begins. And so that's what I have for informational.
Okay, questions about those? We do have a closed meeting, so we will recess this regular meeting until we clear the council chambers, and then we can go into our closed meeting. We'll reconvene our regular council meeting after being in closed session. The council has given staff direction to continue with negotiations of a sale of real estate. So, is there any other, we reached the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by
I'll
Heidi,
second.
second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.